Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, Hud, and welcome back to the Baseball Head 2. And hopefully you like this video, hit that subscribe button. So, one of the things that's bothered me, and I don't know if it's bothered you, is how some teams' names got changed in the last 5 years. Or longer. Like, there used to be a team called the Washington Redskins, and ownership didn't really want to change the name. They fought very hard to not want to change the name. They were pressured by the media, by small interest groups that didn't care about football. They just wanted to bully that team into changing that had nothing to do with them. And they changed the name to the Washington football team. And then eventually that became the Washington Commanders. And then, of course, they basically forced the owner to sell the team because they just went after the guy. They didn't like him. And then we have the Cleveland Guardians, who they used to be called the Cleveland Indians, and that sounds so much better than the Guardians. I'll point out right away, the Guardians got their name from two statues in Cleveland, two government statues from Cleveland. I don't think too many people know about that, but that is the truth. And President Trump put out a post on Truth Social, and I saw it on X. I'm not on Truth Social, but I saw this. He wrote this. This President Trump, my statement on the Washington Redskins has totally blown up. So I guess he said that they need to go back to the Redskins, but only in a very positive way. I may put a restriction on them that if they don't change the name back to the original Washington Redskins and get rid of the ridiculous moniker of Washington Commanders, I won't make a deal for them to build a stadium in Washington. The team would be much more valuable, and the deal would be much more exciting for everyone. Cleveland should do the same with the Cleveland Indians. The owner of the Cleveland baseball team, Matt Dolan, who's very political, has lost 3 elections in a row because of that ridiculous name change. I don't know what he means by that. What he doesn't understand is if he changed the name back to the Cleveland Indians, he might actually win an election. Indians are being treated very unfairly. Make Indians great again, MIGA. And I agree with him, But here's the thing about the name, the Indians. It's a historical name. It is an historical name for the first Native American that ever played in Major League Baseball. And his name was Louis Francis Sockalexis. And he was nicknamed the Deerfoot. I'm just reading off Wikipedia. It's not the most reputable thing, but he was nicknamed the Deerfoot of the Diamond. He was an American League baseball player. Sockalexis played professional baseball in the National League for 3 seasons, spending his entire career as an outfielder for the Cleveland Spiders. That is the precursor to the Cleveland Indians and to the Cleveland Naps. A Penobscot, Sockalexis is often identified as the first person of Native American ancestry to play in the National League and Major League Baseball. Louis Sockalexis was born on the Penobscot Indian Island Reservation near Old Town, Maine, 1871. His grandfather was chief of the Bear Clan. In his youth, Sockalexis' athletic talents were noticeable. It was reported that he could throw a baseball across a Penobscot River from the Indian Island to the shore of Old Town. Sockalexis and his father entertained crowds at the Bangor racetrack by playing catch across the entire track. Now, there is some dispute about Sockalexis and whether he was the very first Native American player to play in the major leagues. And he did have to deal with a lot of racism, obviously. But the belief is that he is the inspiration behind the name of the Cleveland Indians. And the Cleveland Indians were around for over 100 years. So this is a name that they had for a long time. And there was no reason for them to change the name. Why Major League Baseball is doing these silly things. Nobody asked the fans at all, should they change the names to this Guardians. They didn't ask the fans what they wanted to name the team. They could have went back to the Spiders, which would have been very appropriate, historically appropriate. They didn't do, and that could have been fun for the kids. You could have had kids dressed up as Spider-Man at the ballpark. The Guardians are cold. It's the statues. Now, the Guardians president responded to this. Chris Antonetti, he responded to this, I guess. And this is from Outkick. Guardians president says a rebrand back to Indians logo won't happen. Chris Antonetti wants the Guardians name to stick around. Okay? Cleveland Guardians president Chris Antonetti has made it clear that his team will not undergo another logo rebrand anytime soon. On Sunday, President Donald Trump made a second plea this month to Cleveland's MLB franchise to change their name back to the Indians. Cleveland changed it in 2022 amidst mounting complaints that having Indian imagery in sports brands was culturally insensitive. Trump wants the team to revert to its logo it had for over 100 years. But Antonetti made it clear that that won't happen anytime soon. Quote, I understand there are many different perspectives on the decision we made a few years ago, but the decision we made, and we've gotten the opportunity to build the brand as the Guardians over the last 4 years, and we're excited about the future that it's in front of us. But it's a cold. It doesn't mean anything. This is the problem with the name. It has no connection to anything. That's the problem. It's named after a statue. They're named after two statues on a government building. How does that have anything to do with baseball? Nothing. The name, the Indians had a connection to Sock Alexis. The Naps had a connection to a baseball player, Nap Lajoie. Why are you naming them the Guardians? It's a cold name. It's just like the Commanders is a cold name. Trump might find a way to take action against the Guardians if they don't do what he wants. After all, he already threatened to restrict the construction of the Washington Commanders' new stadium. They didn't go back to the Redskins. And a lot of people were not happy about this. I mean, did anybody ask the Cleveland fans to have their name changed? No, and people pussyfoot around the name Indians. You know, I mean, right after the name was changed, you saw the media people, they didn't want to say the Indians. They didn't want to say it. They were all offended. It's ridiculous. You know, it's just a word. And meanwhile, you see all this historical stuff being erased. You know, Native Americans contribute a lot in this country. And this was a tribute to a Native American, okay? It really is, you know, and you should, you know, put it out there and say this is what they should do. Bring it back and say, look, we're not going to say we made a mistake, but obviously people want the name back. People had fun with the name. And it's historically relevant. It's historically important. They didn't do that. Instead, they named them the Guardians. It's a cold name, means nothing. You know, you don't see anybody dressing up as like Drax or Star-Lord. You don't see anybody dressing up like that in the ballpark. Even if it was the Spiders, that would have been historically significant. That would have been historically significant for the people in Cleveland. But they didn't do that. They just named a random thing that they took of their own volition. They didn't ask the fans what they thought. There wasn't a poll. There wasn't like email to write in and say, I want the Indians to stay, or the Commanders, or the Spiders, or the Naps. Nothing. They just changed it and that was it. They never asked. And being a Cleveland Indian fan, that is so ingrained in baseball history. Major League, folks. Major League. You say the Cleveland Indians to the whole movie. That's one of the great baseball movies of all time. That's a top 5 all-time movie. And they say the Cleveland Indians throughout the whole damn movie. But meanwhile, the media won't say the name. They have to sort of shush it. It's nonsense. A bunch of nonsense. You know. But you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut 2. It's a very different channel than you'll find. Nobody else will talk about this. I'll talk about it. I don't care. It's important to me, and it should be important to you. We don't want to lose our culture, and that's what this was about. This was about erasing culture from our country, and we don't want to lose that. And I'm not even a Cleveland fan, and this gets me mad. It's got me mad since they changed it. Well, thank you for watching. I'll see you later.